That means that we have started. So welcome, everyone. Many of you I know, some of you I've never met before. And however we have come to be here today, I'm happy to be sharing with you the work that I do, that I offer in the world. Specifically today, this is an introductory event, which I offer for my big universal idea, and I call this the process, which is a way of saying that life is a process, and we're going to look at what that process entails and how you can use it to get three things. So many years ago, most of you, all of you are older than me, so many years it's my many years ago. It feels like many years for me. Many years ago, I wanted to have three things. I wanted to know the truth of life. I wanted to have awakening. I wanted to be in relationship. I wanted to have effective, healthy relationships, both personally within myself, a kind of relationship to my own body and experience, but also with other people. And the third thing I wanted to do is to create a life that expressed my potential. I wanted to do something great in the world. I wanted to live my life purpose and discover that, and then potentiate it or actualize it. And when I wanted to do these three things, I tended to go between three different orientations or practices or schools or philosophies as to how to get them done. If I wanted to know about awakening, I would listen to spiritual teachers. If I wanted to know about healing or relationship, I would go to therapists or people in the world of trauma healing. And if I wanted to know about expressing my potential in the world, I'm not really sure who I went to for that, but I worked a lot with my wife to try and figure out how we were going to meet our needs and improve our lives. I had a general sense of that there are things that you can do to make your life better. But what I noticed is that over the years, as I went between these sort of three orientations towards consciousness or the truth of life, healing and relationship, and expressing my potential, taking action, doing things, creating, manifesting. As I went between these three orientations, I realized that there is a universal, singular principle, a sort of theory of everything, which unifies all of these into one life, one movement, one experience of consciousness of being. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So we're going to go between these three different orientations. We're going to look at how the same principles or way of perceiving life expresses itself, and as awakening, as healing, and as manifestation. So the first and most important principles are related to our personal experience. And this is where I start all the work that I do, is with the fundamental building blocks of our moment, of how this moment is constructed. So that's where we're going to start. I'll pause regularly and ask for questions, and I don't just talk at people. I really like your participation, so I encourage as many questions as possible. I won't answer them. I'll actually invite you to look at them together with me. We can see if we can find an answer that comes out of both of us paying attention and feeling into it. So I just pause now to see if anyone has any questions before I go any further. Okay. So if we begin at the very beginning, that's a very good place to start. This moment, I would say, is constructed out of stuff that we're aware of, like I can see, I'm hearing, I have thoughts, I have feelings, and I have sensations. So that's what this moment is comprised of. I guess we're also tasting and smelling, but I always leave those out for some reason. We don't spend a lot of time exploring our sense of taste or smell here, but those are also channels of information. So what unifies all of these different channels of information, things that we perceive, is that all of them are made possible by the fact that we are aware. And it's this focus between what we are aware of and awareness itself is what we're going to really begin with. So to some of you, this may be brand new. Others, it may be clear already. So we'll start at the very beginning and you can follow along. So if I take one of these channels of information alone, for example, my sight, you just notice for a moment that I can focus on what I see. So I look around the room, I can identify objects, I can see color and light, shape and shadow. And my invitation is that we're just going to shift our focus from what we can see to the fact that we're aware. And I would say the reason that you can see things is because you're aware. There must be awareness. But unlike a shadow or a shape, awareness doesn't have a form. It's not information. It's not content. It's more like an awake space. So what I invite you to do is just to relax your focus, again, from what you see to the fact that you're aware. The reason that I can see is because I'm aware. And my question is, if a computer screen looks like a computer screen, what is awareness like? How would you describe it? Anyone want to share their experience? There's all these things that you can see right now. This is made possible by awareness. How would you describe awareness? Yes, go ahead.
Empty.
Empty. And so if you stay with me for a second, Davin, does the emptiness is happening at the same time as you see my smiling face and your computer and everything else? That this emptiness of awareness and all the things you're seeing happen at the same time?
What's your question?
Would you say that's true, or is it different, different than that? So we shift
Just that just that it's distinct from its contents. So awareness itself is without contents. It's the slate. In that sense, it's empty.
Right. So great, and doesn't stop us from seeing things. We're just shifting our focus. And there it is, this, you called it like a slate. There's lots of beautiful ways to describe it. There's this empty, awake space. If I were to describe my computer or my phone or the flowers outside to you, I could do that. How would you describe awareness to me? What qualities does it have? What's it like?
Open, vast, still, quiet, indifferent.
Right. And thank you. And just one more question. As you notice this, what effect does it have on you, on your body and mind? If you notice that this awareness has these qualities, what effect does it have on you?
Like a grounding, calming feeling. It's a retreat, stepping back to a stable state or place.
Great. And again, we've accomplished this just by shifting our focus. It's already there. We just become aware of it. We notice it by giving our attention to it. So thank you. I'm going to ask some other people similar questions. If we do the same thing with our hearing, again, notice the sounds that you can hear. It's pretty quiet in my house, but if I listen carefully, I'm sure I can hear what's going on in the other room. Of course, you can hear my voice. So these are things that we are aware of. These sounds, they are like energy or moving information. And again, we're just going to shift our focus. We can listen to the sounds themselves. We can pay really close attention to what we hear. And we can shift our focus to the fact that we can hear. I would say the reason that you can hear is because you are aware. And if my voice sounds like my voice and the wind sounds like the wind, again, my question is, what does awareness sound like? What do you come into contact with? What do you experience when you shift your focus to awareness? Anyone want to share their experience?
Quiet.
Yeah. How quiet?
That's hard to say. It's like a silence, but it's kind of present and witnessing what's happening in the oral field.
Right. So it's quiet, but there's some sense that it's like awake, that it's present.
Mhm.
Right. Again, I happen to know that you are a music teacher. When you listen to music, it has an effect on you. If we listen to the sound of awareness, if it was music that we were listening to, as we are listening to the sound of awareness, how does it affect you?
Well, it makes me think of John Cage and his interest in silence. I mean, to the point where he would have a piece with no notes in it, inviting the audience to experience whatever sounds are there, and maybe by implication, something beyond them.
So when I hear you say that, I become open in my curiosity. I become attentive, but not so focused on the content. There's an open, spacious, reflective, dreamlike state of being. Does that sort of capture what we're talking about?
Yeah, and to add one more thing, there's a slight ringing in my ears. And so when I am trying to focus on awareness beyond sound, that even that ringing seems like it's within a larger space.
Again, that's really important. We're going to get to that. But it's very important to notice that when you make this beautiful gesture with your hand, when we have stillness, when we have awareness, it doesn't get rid of sounds. It's not in opposition to noise. I don't have to tell you to be quiet so that we can notice that awareness is quiet. It can't be drowned out. It can't, if it's visual, there's no thing that we could see which would get rid of the emptiness of it. It is sort of permanently open and spacious and awake. And this is between all these qualities we notice and what you're describing about the sort of scope of it. This is going to be very important as we move forward. Thank you. Okay, so these two channels of seeing and hearing they're lovely and beautiful and true. And where it's really useful is when we come to some of the channels of information where we have the most human challenge, like our thinking and our emotions and our body sensations. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So we do the same thing again, this time with our thoughts. And I notice I can be aware of my thoughts, just like things that I see or things that I hear, sounds that I hear. Thoughts are information or energy. And I just give my focus to whatever is happening in my mental world. This could be thoughts, it could be a sense of energy, it could be mental images. We all know how to pay attention to our thoughts. But as we do this, as we become sort of absorbed in what the content is, we notice the reason that I can observe my thoughts is because there's awareness. If there wasn't awareness, I wouldn't know or be aware of what my thoughts are. So again, I shift my focus from my thoughts to the fact that I am aware. And again, thoughts describe life. Or if they're images, they imagine life, pictorialize life. What is awareness doing about life? Is awareness thinking about life? Is awareness describing life? When you shift the focus to awareness, what happens to you? What do you notice? Anyone want to share their experience?
I notice it makes me smile. Yeah, when I shift my focus to awareness, just that things feel so vast. Just feels like I feel the container that's ever expanding.
Right.
So it just like the sides of my face, I just notice it makes me smile.
Yeah, me too. Can I ask you some questions? So
Yes.
thoughts, they change all the time. We change our mind. We're judgmental. We have a whole variety of ways of thinking or experiences of thought, beliefs that are true, impulses, you could say. What is awareness thinking right now? If you were to personify it, what's its attitude about life? Is it judgmental?
No, like just totally open, like just yeah, I want to say like, yeah, whatever, man, but it's not even like that. It's just like there's just like this, like my hands are open, like awareness is like whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but not like whatever, just like a receptive whatever.
Right. It hasn't given up. It's just open.
No, yeah, just really just yeah, there's a very like a really palpable there-ness to it without any expectation or hope or desire.
Right.
Just,
So why is this particularly important? Well, when we are paying attention to our mental experience, part of our experience is going to be a constant judgment, description, pictorialization, imagining of life, a representation of life. And sometimes this representation is positive and sometimes not so positive. And it's very helpful in this moment if we can notice that awareness isn't doing any of that. To be aware is to be at peace. So what this means is that I don't have to stop my thinking or change my thinking to experience peace. I can let my thoughts do what they do, which is to judge, observe, all the other descriptors that I've used, and I let awareness do what it does, which is to not judge, to not make decisions, to not divide life, to not describe life, to just stay in this awake openness. And again, why that I think is useful, or the utility or power of that, we will continue to explore. But thank you, Liz. We move on again. We just feel our body for a second. We'll clump these two together, that I can feel the sensations or the energy of my body, and I can also feel my emotions. I can feel my body. And I can take the time just to bring my awareness down and feel my body even more. And then I notice I am feeling my body. I am feeling my emotions. When I say I am feeling, what is the I am that I'm referring to? See, I would say I am aware of my body is the same as I experience my body because it is something that is being experienced by awareness. This I am is the experience of being aware. Just like I see objects, or I hear sounds, or I observe my thoughts, I am experiencing my body. So I take a moment to shift my focus from my body to the I am that is experiencing, that is aware. Again, my body doesn't go away. This doesn't get rid of anything. I have a different perspective on my life. And so my question is, I can tell you the size of my body. I can tell you that it's moving. I can tell you how it's changing. I can identify all the sensations and the emotions. If I shift my focus to awareness, I look to see if I can answer some of the same questions. How big is awareness? Anyone have a sense of that? Does it have a boundary like your body has a boundary? Dean, you unmuted yourself. If you're going to speak, now would be a great time.
Okay, I was waiting for you. Yeah, when you asked to get in touch with our body, that's what I was aware of first, was a kind of vibration in my chest, and kind of a anticipation, because this is all new to me, except what a friend has told me about you and what you do. I'm sort of familiar with some of that. As far as awareness, I'm aware. So I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the sensation in my body.
Right.
I don't.
Can
Yeah.
I walk you through this? Can we do it
Sure,
together?
sure.
Okay, great. So there's a sensation specifically in your body. And just like if you had a binoculars or you did with your eyeball, you can focus on it. You can bring your focus,
Right.
like you're reading words on a page, you can bring your focus to the sensation.
Uh-huh.
So we're concentrating on it, and that's great. We can notice the qualities of the vibration in your chest. And very intentionally together, we're going to shift our focus. So the reason that you can feel this sensation is because it's something you're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just see if I can give more of my attention, I can refocus myself from the sensation to the fact that there is awareness.
The fact that there is what?
Awareness.
Awareness. Yeah. Yeah. I'm aware of the sensation. I have that awareness. Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah.
so if you would say that the sensation is here, where is the awareness? Where does that take you? Where do you find awareness?
I guess because I can speak about it.
Yeah.
And so mentally, I'm aware that there's a sensation in my body.
Absolutely. And
So
is
that's my awareness. Yeah.
right. And if you were to point, you could point to the place the sensation is happening. Can you
Right.
point to the place where the awareness is happening?
I guess my head. Yeah. My thoughts. Yeah. That's kind of what I associate with awareness, is what I'm mentally aware of.
Yeah.
Like I read a book and I'm
Right.
aware of what the author is saying.
Right. So let's go through this together. Is what I hear you saying is that you have a sense of there being awareness here, but
Right.
you're also aware of something here.
Right.
Are you aware of me as well?
I can, yeah, through my eyes, I can see you. Yeah.
And how about the room you're in? Do you get a sense of being in the room that you're in right now?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm getting to, is the sensation in your chest is very specifically in your chest.
Right.
But when I contemplate where is awareness, I would say it's everywhere where we're having an experience. That's why I can be
With the
aware of the
awareness.
room. That's why I can be aware of the computer I'm looking at. That's why I can be aware of the sensation in my chest, or I can feel my feet, is because awareness is kind of everywhere that my experience is. My thoughts are only in kind of one part of my experience. The sensation in my chest is only in another. The room that I'm in is in another part of my experience. But what all of that has in common is everywhere where that is, there's awareness. Does that make sense to you?
Well, yeah, the way I see it is the awareness is not only of my body or feelings and my thoughts, but it's what I see, what I hear. So it's everything around me.
Yeah.
But I'm taking that all in through all of my senses. Is that what you're pointing to?
That's a great way of describing it. So when I talk about shifting our focus, when we focus specifically on what's happening in our chest, it's very important to be able to do that. And we'll practice that more later. But if I shift my focus to awareness, what happens is I'm refocusing like on everything. I'm shifting my focus from a very specific part of my experience to the awareness that's kind of all pervasive, that's everywhere.
Okay.
So my experience is getting bigger. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Dean, is it okay if Davin asks a question?
Sure.
Go ahead, Davin.
When you talk about shifting your focus in this way, is it more of is it an active shifting of focus, or is it a ceasing to focus in practice?
Well, it can be both. If I ask you to do it now, you might be actively shifting your focus. But in the way that Dean, and what we're just doing with Dean, when Dean finds something in his chest, I would say, just like you would do with your eyes, if you have to concentrate on something small, you contract your eyes. If I were to look down at a piece of paper I had and read the words on it, I would be contracting my eyes. So I believe that every time we notice a detail inside ourselves, or even more specifically, our focus is only with our thoughts, we are actually contracting our focus. So if I ask you to shift your focus, that's a thing that we're doing. But how do we shift our focus to awareness or to everything? I would say ultimately we do it by relaxing our focus. That's how we make the shift, is by relaxing. So another way of describing what we're learning is part one skill is to relax our focus. So again, we can relax our focus without changing the things that we see, or we hear, or we think, or we feel. Because awareness itself doesn't ever contract or get small. So what this means is I have I have something to look at that is completely uncontracted. So this is especially important when I have pain, or I have repetitive thoughts, or I feel stuck in more contracted human experiences. What I can do is I can notice, what is awareness doing while I ruminate, or I'm in a bad mood, or whatever, we'll get into the content later. What is awareness doing? So I become aware, I shift my focus, I become aware of the experience of being aware. And I notice I start to perceive these qualities. There's openness, there's space. Awareness is bigger than my body. This doesn't get rid of my thoughts or feelings or sensations, but I've relaxed. You could say I've let go of them, and I'm now taking in information, or the qualities of awareness, as well as the thoughts that I'm having, or the feelings that I'm having, or the sensation in my chest. I'm starting to get influenced by this other aspect of myself, which is my awareness. So I asked earlier, what is it like when we put on headphones and we listen to awareness? We say, well, it's calming. Liz says she smiles. It opens up a state of curiosity. Let's say life slows down. Life gets softer. So there's many things that are important about this, but one is that no matter what we are thinking, feeling, hearing, sensing, experiencing, I have a way of relaxing, soothing myself, finding peace, staying open, being okay. And as we go on, we'll look to see what influence this has on the things that we're worried about or ruminating on, or that cause us pain. We just reflect on that part, Davin. How does that sound to you? That what we're doing is we're shifting our focus, but this could also be seen as a relaxation of our focus. Again, if we take our eyes for a second, if I got you to look at my hand, but then I got you to shift your focus to the whole wall in front of you, what you would actually have to do with your pupils is you'd have to, I don't know, whatever it is, dilate or relax them to see the wall, because it's bigger than my hand, right? So by looking at awareness, it's like looking at the wall that everything is on, or you could say the wall that everything is passing through, and we'll get to that, which means when I look at this, I'm open. I become bigger than any of my experiences. So just pause to see if anyone else has any questions. There's lots of other aspects to this. The first is that we can shift our focus from what we are aware of to awareness.
Can I speak?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. So what I'm hearing is that if we are, say, have obsessive thoughts, or we're feeling a strong feeling or something, that you open up your awareness to be aware of all the other inputs that are happening through your eyes, ears, the temperature of the air in the room, or whatever, that somehow gets you out of those obsessive thoughts or feelings.
That's part of it. So you described that when, and I did say this, we did say this, that we shift our focus, we come to the everything, all the content. And that's true. Part of it is that we experience all the content, and we're not just perceiving our thoughts anymore, we're perceiving everything else. But if we even slow that down a little bit more, I would say that awareness is like the place, or it is the place where all your sense data is passing through. Dean.
Mm.
It's like an empty space that your thoughts, feelings, sensations, visual images, auditory information, all of this is passing through a space. And so some people will more notice when we do this relaxing, they'll more notice everything that's passing through, and that's part of it. But some people will also notice the qualities of the space itself.
Mm.
So if I were to ask you again, just to try this one more way, there's all this stuff. You could describe it to me. You could tell me what your sensations are like. You could tell me what your thoughts are like. How would you describe your awareness? I would say your awareness is not thought. It's not a feeling. It's what is, like, where that's happening. The sort of place of being or of awakeness where that's happening. Do you have a sense of that?
No. To tell you the truth, no. It still seems like awareness is what comes through all of those senses and through
Right.
your thoughts and feelings
That's
and everything.
that's also true.
It sounds
So-
like you're trying to describe there's something else that is invisible almost, and I don't know.
Invisible is a
I
good
don't
word for it.
like that.
So so first, if we just stay with what you're describing, the fact that you can perceive everything coming through, it's not like that's really important. That's half of it. That's a really, really big part of it. The fact that you can observe that your sense information is moving, that's a really, really, really big part of what we're doing. So if we just take a moment, Dean, and we just notice that all of the information that you experience is passing through. It's moving. Just see what happens when you notice that all of the visual stimuli and audio stimulus, thoughts, feelings are moving. What is that like for you to notice?
Mm. No, it just seems like I'm noticing a lot of things happening at once.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
stay with that.
Okay. So I'm seeing things in my room. I'm seeing you. I'm hearing noises in the house.
You're feeling your body, your sensations, and your
Feeling
emotions as well.
myself in the chair. I'm having thoughts like this is all kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know, all of that, yeah, is going on.
Thank you for going on this adventure with me. And my question is, as you sit here and watch this, does it take any energy for this to be happening? Is it something that you're making happen, or is it more like it's happening to you?
Well, I think because this is kind of new to me, it's taking some energy to try to figure out what it is.
Right.
I'm always trying to figure out things, so it makes sense to me.
Right.
So that's the effort, I guess. The trying to understand.
Right. So again, as we're here to understand, and we're going to do this as much as we can, not through thinking about it, but through experiencing it. So we're going to keep following with what you're saying, that your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations, all of these things are here and they're moving like the sound of my voice, and they just pass through. My voice doesn't get stuck. It just passes through like sound through the air. It just keeps moving. And when we have the experience of this, my question is, does it take any effort to see or to hear or to have thoughts or to have a body?
I see. So you're saying it in more general terms.
Yes.
For all of this to happen,
Yes.
it happens all the time, and I don't have to make it happen. Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you're saying?
Does that feel
Yeah.
true to you?
Yeah, I kind of understand that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just see what happens when we notice that, when we give that our attention.
Okay.
In this moment, if we don't try to do anything, things happen. They happen on their own.
Mhm.
What's that like for you? What effect does that have on you?
Mhm. Hmm. I guess I don't know yet. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll stay with it.
Okay.
We'll come back to me, Dean.
Okay.
Okay. So if I take Dean moved us ahead a bit. So I go back and I say, what is uniform about our thoughts and feelings and sensations, our body experience, is there's awareness. And I would say there's only one awareness, only having one experience of being aware. And this unifies life. And if we take a moment just to notice that we're talking about awareness like it's some foreign entity, I would say that you are the one that is aware. So all of these qualities that you've been describing are of awareness, are qualities of you. It's not some other foreign thing that is aware. It's the one, your experience, that has these qualities. These are qualities of you. So if I ask you to describe awareness, you could just as easily be describing yourself. But what it means is that when we're more contracted into what we are aware of, we are less aware of these qualities of ourself. We have less access to them. We don't know that there is this non-reactive, awake space that is constantly allowing movement. That's not so obvious to us, because when we contract, we don't notice that quality, and we are hyper-focused on the things that we are relating to. And if those things are painful or difficult, and we contract around them, then we've made our world small and kind of collapsed it into something that's difficult, like rumination, obsessive thinking, negativity, whatever it is. So the first thing is that we can relax back into ourselves or into awareness, into this broader, more open experience. And we can either notice the qualities of the empty space, or we can notice the fullness of the space, as Dean is describing, that the space is full of energy, content of experience. Both are important. We'll get to that. So again, I just pause to see if anyone else has any questions before I move on. Okay, so what is the process? The process is the experience of information or energy or sense data, whatever you want to call it. The process is the experience of energy passing through your awareness. That's what your life is. That's what our life is. That's what our moment is. This is what is the construction of reality. When time passes, when 5 minutes goes by, what is that in actuality? What it means is that we've witnessed the movement of sensations, thoughts, feelings, things that we see, things that we hear, and the turning of the clock hand for 5 minutes. That's how we mark time. That's how we mark the passage of time. Awareness hasn't gone anywhere during that time because it doesn't move. It's just a space. So we just take a moment and see if this is true. Let's take 10 seconds roughly together and see what is 10 seconds. Ten seconds is the movement of energy through my awareness. And what you will notice as you observe this is you realize you don't move your thoughts through awareness. You don't move your emotions through awareness. You don't move my voice through your awareness. You just discover things that are already moving. You're witnessing an inevitable process. You don't know what I'm going to say. You don't know what you're going to feel next. This is very perceptible if you notice the sensations of your body. If you pay attention to how your feet feel, or your knees, or your legs, you recognize you're just discovering how you feel. And that discovery keeps moving. So if you focus on your legs for a moment, the experience of having legs is to be aware and to have sensations pass through your awareness. That's what it is to have legs. So to be Blaze, which I'm very happy to be Blaze, Blaze does not go away through any kind of realization. I am the experience of thoughts, feelings, and sensations passing through my awareness. That's me. And how is it for you to hear me say that and to notice it in yourself? What comes up for you when I suggest this is the composition of reality? Does it feel true, or is it different than that for you? How would you describe it?
No, it's definitely different for me. I think, yeah.
How so, Dean?
Because I think I'm still at the stage, or the way I experience things is still sort of like my head is the monitor of it all, so I can become aware of sights and sounds, or I can become aware of my body. When you said feel your legs, I could feel that. But I guess I'm just confused. I'm confused about this. I don't know.
Right.
So,
But not being sure of exactly how it all works is part of why we came here. We are all
Yeah.
discovering what
Yeah.
other ways of perceiving might be possible. And what I would invite especially is to just keep noticing specifically body sensations, because for some reason, often thinking feels like a personal activity. But when we especially notice sensations in our body, like how your feet feel, we come into a more of a witnessing position. So one way to listen instead of thinking about what I'm saying is just to feel your feet as I speak. And we'll stay in. And if you have another question or comment, Dean, please ask. But I want to give anyone else a chance to speak as well. If you listen to me say that the composition of this moment and the movement of time is energy passing through your awareness, or experiencing passing through your awareness. Does that feel true, or is it different for you?
Feels kind of obvious to me, true and obvious.
Right. So let's take a few moments just to break down some of the important points of this. Can or does awareness stop anything from happening? Could awareness stop your thoughts or your feelings or your sensations? Does it want to? So this is how we can accept what happens. Instead of accepting what happens being something that we do, accepting what happens is the nature of reality. It's built into life. I am aware there is this space, and without choice or effort, life is passing through awareness. That is acceptance. The problem is if we try to do acceptance, we do it either by thinking or feeling or some other kind of human effort, and it's not a very pure form of acceptance. Again, our mind is not there to be accepting. Our emotions are not there to be accepting. Our body is not there to be in a state of open acceptance. That's what awareness is there for. Our body is there to judge, care about, strive for, be motivated to, not like, defend. It's there to do all kinds of stuff. Spaciousness is not what it's there to do. That's awareness's job. And we can all perfectly accept life, not by being better people, but by being noticing that we are all experiencing perfect unconditional acceptance all the time. Which means without changing any of your thoughts or feelings or any of your pain or reactivity, any of the problems that you have in your life, you can experience peace and acceptance. You don't have to improve yourself to be at peace or to live in a state of acceptance or to allow what is happening. And it's much easier to notice that it's already that way than it is to try and create that. So from the personal perspective, this is how to remove all conflict from your experience. You don't have to be better than you are. You don't have to be more developed or mature or healed. The first thing is you can notice this is the way that it is. Which means that without effort, you can treat yourself the way awareness is treating you. And take a moment to reflect on it. How is awareness treating your thoughts and feelings and sensations?
Yeah, awareness is allowing and accepting of all my thoughts. And it's such a huge relief to think I don't have to accept something. I just have to access awareness that will accept.
Right. And again, we're playing with language here, but since you are aware, another way of saying it is you are accepting yourself as you are. That may also include negative thoughts, feelings, or painful sensations.
Yeah, that inclusion piece feels important because of how the body and the mind is shifting so much. Like I noticed when you first asked, I could feel almost a part of me that's like holding on, but like, no, it's this thing. Even while I could kind of feel this like full awareness, and that it was, I could either identify or move toward this or move toward this. And then to feel that even as we're sitting here, there's so much changing inside my body and what my mind would tell me about where to look or how to identify or what that means versus just, like I'm watching a fish in a fish tank. It's just the fish is in the water. Yeah.
Right. So if perfect, natural, unconditional acceptance was music and we were listening to it, what effect does it have on you?
Yeah, I can feel the water more. And there's just kind of an enjoyment. Yeah. And that.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to share their experience? If you notice that this moment is the movement of energy through your awareness, and there's no resistance to this, no matter what the movement is, what effect does it have on you?
I think I'm kind of with Dean in that I think I'm overthinking it and trying to be intellectual about it. And that's, I'm getting, I'm not feeling joy and I'm not enjoying it. I'm feeling it as almost like I feel really insignificant, but not in a bad way. I
Can I-
don't know.
So I'm glad you speak up. I've never heard anyone say that. I feel not insignificant, but not in a bad way. Could you tell me more what you mean when you say that?
Sorry, I feel insignificant. Like, okay, so I don't even, okay, so I guess there's so many thoughts going through my head right now. So I think the way I'm understanding this is that when you're saying feel your foot,
Yeah.
part of me, the way I'm kind of experiencing this is like my head and my brain are feeling my foot. But there's this other part of me, and maybe it's my spirit, maybe it's my soul,
Yeah.
that feels so deep, like the bottom of the ocean, that sees myself seeing my foot. And when I'm in that deep depth, everything feels so insignificant. Like I feel I'm so struggling right now with thoughts. And I just feel like this awareness, if I'm understanding this correctly, puts me in this space where I don't feel joy or I'm not enjoying it, but I am, it just is, I think.
So
I don't know.
you have me at the edge of my seat. And I hope that by you speaking up and us relating, we can kind of hold you here and we can go through it. I'm so glad you're speaking. So if we just take a moment again, you can feel your feet.
Yeah.
And I would also say you can feel your brain. I don't know that you're thinking in your brain is something that is doing the feeling. I think it's more something that you're aware of. So you have thoughts and you have feelings and you have your feet. And my question is, how is your awareness relating to this body of you? How does it treat you?
I feel really emotional about it. I have a pit in my stomach and a lump in my throat
Right.
because it just makes me realize like I make it so much harder than it needs to be. And so I guess it feels I don't know. I don't know the word right now.
Can I say some more things?
Mm-hmm.
Another way of saying that you make it harder than it needs to be is you've been working really hard. And we just acknowledge. I think it's beautiful. We just acknowledge that you can now notice that you've been working really hard.
Yeah. I just am overthinking everything.
I want to ask you from this perspective, how have you been working hard? Again, you say overthinking. How would you describe what is that? What are you doing to work hard?
Like everything but sitting in awareness.
Right. So is this a good gesture for that?
No.
No? How would you describe it?
I'm like I'm grasping like every single thing that I can,
Yeah.
and it's not working.
Right.
In my head, I know that. I just need to get out of my head. Or maybe I need to stay in my head and then just like be aware of it. I'm not sure.
That sounds great to me. My question is, if we say you need to get out of your head, does awareness say that?
No,
What does awareness say?
nothing.
Could we interpret that as everything is okay the way it is right now?
Yeah.
What happens if we notice that? Awareness is telling us, even if there's struggle or pain, that everything is okay right now. It's not an idea. It's a direct experience coming from the depth of you.
It feels okay. But then everything feels really insignificant.
What everything feels insignificant.
Um, like life, I think, and the experiences, and like, I don't really know. I think I have to think on that.
Let me see if I can meet you in this. So as you're experiencing that is everything is insignificant, are your body sensations still moving?
Yeah.
Are they moving less or are they moving more than they were
Um,
when you were grasping at everything?
they're moving more when
Okay.
I'm grasping.
So we say more energy passing through your awareness. And if we check in with your emotional world, is there less movement or more movement?
Like way tumultuous movement.
Okay. And thoughts.
Like way too loud.
So I would describe this as blossoming or coming to life. That's what I would describe as happening to, like you're exploding with life energy. And the reason that's happening is because you are relaxing and letting go of the energy that is your body that's trying to move more. Your body is designed to move, and it's trying to move more so you can be more alive. Because when you care, you don't have to try to care.
Mhm.
You already care. It's like your heart has a life of its own. Your emotional world has a life of its own. And by relaxing into awareness, we're actually empowering you to do what is natural for you. Does that sound true?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's very beautiful that you would share this with all of us.
Hmm.
And this is our transition towards how does this, so first, this is a truth about life that we can be more clear about, but how does this impact these other two aspects of our experience? How does this cause healing? And how does this improve what we are going to create or do in this world? And the answer is everything wants to move. Awareness is not trying to stop anything from moving. This state of consciousness, this recognition is going to do exactly what's happening, Kale. It's going to free up energy to move because there's going to be no resistance to it. You are turning yourself loose.
And as a group, we all just had the direct experience of this. As Lisa, you were willing to share. You, with your opening and sharing, we all can feel the motion moving through awareness with you.
So I want to point out that we have about 20 minutes left. And so what I would like to do is continue to take questions. But it's important for me to describe, just as you were sharing, Lisa, what is the impact of this? The impact, one, is to know something that's true or natural about life, to be able to perceive consciousness in its fluid state as a natural process. When you go into nature, you don't think of anything that happens as being unnatural. Trees can grow, they can die, but it's nature. Similarly, when I notice that life is just the continuous, effortless, natural movement of energy through my awareness, me and everything I experience becomes like nature. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just what it is. And this becomes good. We discover that this is actually as good as nature is, as good as anything that is fundamental. I can learn to have this relationship with myself, with my life, with everything that I perceive. I can treat everything as awareness does, and I can allow everything because it's moving anyways. And one impact is more and more energy moves, if we talk about contracting and relaxing, we relax into this state, and what we perceive is one full experience. You could call it non-duality, you could call it the unified field. There's only one experience. It's energy passing through your awareness. Yes, there's things that are outside my body, and yes, there are things that are inside my body, and I wouldn't get into your car and drive away and say it was mine. But from the perspective of awareness, there's only one experience, and it's unified. It's singular. And it's internal to you. It's not outside of you. So why is it that we have to learn this? Why is it that we have to let go or relax? Why is this not the way it is right now? Well, my short answer to that is through the course of our life, many things pass through us that are overwhelming. We have overwhelming thoughts, feelings, sensations, experience of connection or disconnection. And we have to stop life from happening. This is trauma. That is what trauma is. Trauma is that I contract and I stop movement from happening because it's overwhelming to me. So when people say that they try really hard, or that they feel disconnected, or that they, whatever our strategies is, this is something that we have learned to do through our life. And we've learned to do it because the natural flow of experience as a human being is overwhelming or traumatic. So to adopt this perspective on life, one of the consequences of it, the inevitabilities of it, is it means we're going to relax around overwhelming information or experience that we've been holding on to so that it can complete its movement. If we learn to be as awareness is, That means we are going to allow all things to move, even if they overwhelmed us in the past. How do we do this? Well, first thing is we will notice what's happening in our body. We will notice probably that we are holding it tightly, that we're expending energy to keep it held in place. And we're going to shift our focus and notice that awareness is not afraid. Awareness is not afraid of our resistance. It's not afraid of our pain. It's not afraid of being overwhelmed. And we're going to relax into that. This is what healing is. Healing is the movement of more flow, or rejoining this river of life, separated parts of our body, our consciousness, becoming aware of them, relaxing them, and allowing them to move so that we are not contracting and expending resources or working hard to hold back our life energy. And so as Lisa and Dean have both noticed, that we can track, we will be drawn to certain sensations in our body. Sort of as a consequence of being open, we will become aware more of energy that we've been using, that we've been actively storing in our body. It will bring to the surface that which has been not so obvious to us. And then we will feel it, and it will be overwhelming, because that's what healing is. It's the integration of overwhelming experience, and then it will move. And then it becomes consistently more true that life is the movement, the impersonal movement of energy through awareness. The more energy that we have, that we are allowing, the more uncontracted we become, the more natural and clear this state is, the more perceptible it is to us. It also means the more we feel, the more energy we have to relate, the more sensitivity we have to listen, and the more connected we feel to the rest of our whole one experience. We are removing blocks to a sort of fluid, sensitive, unified experience.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've been interested in, because this friend of mine that has seen you for over a year now is the trauma work that you do.
Yeah.
Because I don't describe myself as a spiritual person. And I haven't never meditated as a practice or anything.
Yeah.
But he and I are very similar.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways psychologically. And I have been in the past involved in a therapy that was very based on working with feelings. And so that's what I identify with Lisa. That's what I'm used to dealing with. I guess my question about what you do is, how open are you to the release of feelings? And, you know, when you bring in the conversation about awareness, which seems like kind of this spiritual sort of hoo-ha stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm kind of iffy, I guess. But I know that, I know I have tension in my body, and I know that there are emotions that I deal with and have dealt with for many years.
Right. So
I guess I'm looking for a way to proceed.
Yeah.
And maybe get to a point where they are not as handicapping.
Absolutely. Oh, the question, how open am I? to the release of feelings makes me smile. I would say I'm very open to the release of feelings.
Okay.
It's what I spend most of my life doing with myself and other people. So if we break down what we've done today specifically, if we think about it as shifting focus, one half, what we've done today is to shift our focus to the totality or the big picture. And this is two primary elements. One is space, awake space or awareness, and the other is movement. And when I describe awareness, when I invite you to look at awareness, what I see you relating to more is the fullness and movement of your experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, half the people, maybe not half, there's some breakdown. Many people will go, oh, empty space, so obvious. And other people will go, movement, fullness, energy, aliveness, and they will tune more into that. Eventually, we're going to notice both of them. There's, I hear you say, call it hoo-ha, but the movement of energy and the fullness of our experience is really important. So in specifically related to trauma work and how do you do that, the challenge is trauma is like compressed pockets of overwhelming experience. So as we move towards that, the way that we move towards that most often is going to be to shift our focus and to read, to perceive the body very precisely. We have to find these pockets most of the time. So it's true that if we relax into awareness, things will come up. But even if they come up as they are with Lisa, for example, she will notice where she's having feelings in her body. She'll have to bring her attention to her body because awareness doesn't get rid of your body. Does not get rid of any of the things that are happening in us. It's just this, it's just a sort of a depth of field. So all that is to say, there's this skill of relaxing and there's skill of being very attentive to the details of the body. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that when we're really attentive to these compressed pockets of overwhelming experience, we're going to need to find a way to relax. We're going to need a way to slow down. We're going to need to find a way to soothe ourselves and come into a state of relaxation. How do we do that if we're perceiving something that's overwhelming? There's a couple ways we can do it. Mm-hmm. We can do it by feeling our feet on the ground. We can do it by making connection, which is something that I focus on a lot. One universal way to do it is to notice, is to shift our focus to the big picture. We've taken this compressed experience, we've relaxed our focus, and it can move. So this ability to shift our focus to something bigger that's more stable is really helpful in the resolution of trauma. But often when I work with people, they won't orient to awareness naturally. It won't be the thing that comes up for them. And there's lots of other ways to do it. Okay. There's lots of other ways to do it. So if I segue from what you're saying, maybe I should give you a chance to respond. Maybe we'll wait a minute, Dean, you can respond in a minute. Traditionally, what I'm describing to you may be a contemplative or a meditative path. Mm-hmm. So I just rest in awareness and I just let life happen. And it's true, if theoretically, if you sat for long enough, everything would just move. But I don't see any obvious signs that any of you are monks. I'm not a monk. I have a life. I take action. I spend most of my time talking to people or doing things. I'm not just going to sit there and let life pass through me. I also relate to my family and my job and my neighbors and my friends, and I'm involved in the world. So what we're doing today represents only a part of the sort of skill set that I teach, but I only teach so much at once. The other part is to go into our experience and find the things that are hidden, that need the space and the non-resistance and the equanimity of awareness. We need to find things in us that need more time and space, overwhelming experience, frozen experience, inner conflict, sort of divided experience. All of these need to be held. So half the skill set that we learn is to relax into awareness. The other half is to go and really precisely read the body. Because what the work becomes is to find things that need to move. That becomes our job. If we have this space that says, yes, everything can move, our job just becomes to find the things, like throwing things into the current, find things that need to move, find trauma or stored energy in the body. So many of the people in this room work in, several people in this room work in groups where their emphasis is actually to relate in a way that helps them to discover those things, which is what therapy traditionally aims at.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, that is helpful because there's stuff.
That is a truism. So before I carry on, I want to see if anyone else has any questions or comments so far about what we've done. Okay. We're actually just about at the end of time. So if I put all these things together, what does this mean? What is the process? The process for me is for the rest of your life, more of your energy from your body will pass through into your awareness. That the allowing and the discovery of energy that wants to move is how we flood your awareness with your energy. And that is the point of your life. The point of your life is to get your inner experience to express itself out into your world. And when that happens, you have manifested your inner world as your life. And the reason that can happen is because there's actually no barrier between your inner world and the whole of your awareness. The only barrier is the places where you contract yourself, where you hold your personal energy or your inner world separate from the rest of your experience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And by learning to either relax personally or express relationally, we are crossing this barrier so that you can do what you came to do, which is express your energy into the world. That's what all of us are here to do. Healing is to find out all the places in ourselves where that wasn't possible. And awakening is to experience a unified life and to dissolve this barrier between our inner and outer world and relax into a continuously more fluid and more alive experience of consciousness, which results, well, maybe I'll say that, in many things, but ultimately a tremendous relaxation of tension from the effort of my personal experience to the effortlessness of consciousness, of life. So the way that I support people to do this is that I teach these personal or universal principles. As you can see, they're very powerful to know and recognize, to have an unconditional relationship with ourselves. And then we apply them relationally by finding the things inside of ourselves which need to express or be seen or be felt or move. and learning actually to apply movement through space, through the experience of relating to other people in the world, to make this universal contemplative principle active through the relationships in our life and our participation in the world. So what this means is that over time, we add more and more skills to these basic principles. So again, I just take a moment to let 5 seconds go by. What is 5 seconds? 5 seconds is just the movement of energy through my awareness. Do I make 5 seconds go by, or am I just witnessing an effortless flow of experience? Do I choose what's going to happen in those 5 seconds, or do I discover it as it happens? My experience, Lisa, of letting go into this impersonal flow is that it has been very meaningful for me. And I share it with you because I love it very much. And I hope that you find something, or we find something in it that makes all these 3 areas of your life happen, that brings life to all these domains for you. So I'll leave one more space for questions or comments if anyone has anything they want to say. I'll send out a link to the recording and some follow-up material later. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Blaze.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.